Okay, back to our podcast. Um, Last week we talked about natural healing. No, the first week we talked about natural healing. Last week we talked about plant-based diets. But this week we want to talk about some of the challenges of eating plant-based in a meat-based world. So, but it's not as daunting as you think. You just have to learn. We're going to teach you some tips and tricks today to make the transition as easy as possible. So, what do you
Yes.
think, Jennifer?
Yeah. So I know for me, it took me, like I said, about 20 years to actually get full on whole food plant based. And so I started with the meatless Mondays. That was before we even knew about meatless Mondays, but I did. So one day a week there'd be no meat, but we were still eating a lot of cheese.
Yeah.
And then we gradually got to where we weren't eating any meat during the week. We would just save it for when we went out to eat on the weekends,
Okay.
but still eating cheese. And then we started watching documentaries too, like you said, Forks Over Knives. I think I read How Not to Die after we had watched things like Food Inc. and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
my youngest child said, "I'm going vegan. I'm not eating any animal products anymore." And it's something that I had been wanting to do, all along. Like I told you, I had learned all you need. Oh, I don't. Did I even say this last time? All you need in a day to meet your amino acids, your protein needs, is a small can of tuna. That's it,
Wow.
to get all the protein you need. And I had learned that back in the 90s. And so I knew, we should not be eating that much meat if all we need is that small can of tuna. But when she said that, she was running cross country, and I was working out in the gym, and I thought, still need to make sure we're getting our protein. And I think that that's everyone's biggest concern. How do you get your protein? So I started looking up bodybuilders and things like that to see how are they getting their protein needs met. But an aside, bodybuilders aren't healthy.
Oh
They
no.
may be able to build large muscles, but they're not necessarily healthy.
Absolutely.
But I did see that it's easy to get your protein needs met without even eating that small can of tuna, that you can have other foods. um so I lost my train of thought there. Oh, so when we were transitioning, so she said that she wasn't eating it anymore. And I remember telling my husband, and he said, "Don't take away my cheese." And he was very serious. I mean, he was afraid of giving up the cheese. And now I know, after studying, taking some classes, that cheese can activate different receptors in the brain, like morphine. And
Yep.
so we actually are literally addicted to cheese. And so cheese is one of the hardest things to give up. And when I started looking at our diet, not only were we eating cheese every day, it was a big part of every day. It was like, if we had grits, we had cheese on the grits. If we had a sandwich at lunch, there was always cheese. You eat tacos or pizza, Parmesan cheese, or cheese on your tacos. And so it was like, wait a minute, how are we going to eat without putting cheese on our foods? And so that was the hardest thing for me. And I was looking for substitutes. And I know this isn't helping people, but I'm hoping that this helps people because they're doing the same thing. So I started
Yeah.
looking for substitutes for cheese, and you're not going to find that same thing that's going to react the make the reactions in your brain, the soothing, that the comfort that you get from cheese and substitutes. And so I think the best thing to do is to find meals that don't have any cheese for a few days, break the cheese habit first, and then start making these cheese substitutes. Because now, like, I make ranch dressing, I make cheese sauces and things like that, and they taste delicious to me
Yeah.
now. But at the time, if you buy the shredded cheese in the grocery store that's vegan, it's it's not going to be the same. You're
It's
just not,
not.
the texture is not going to be the same, the taste is not going to be the same. And so it's looking at what you already eat. So most people do eat like pasta with marinara sauce.
Yeah.
Is that the healthiest? Well, it depends on the type of pasta. And there are, good, better, and best ways. If you are just transitioning and you're transitioning from a standard American diet, eating pasta with marinara sauce, you're already eating a plant-based meal. Can you
Exactly.
improve on that pasta? Yes. But for now, let's just do one thing at a time. So just start thinking, do you like black bean burgers? I love black bean burgers. Okay. So let's have a dinner with black bean burgers. We could have some oven baked potatoes for fries and, roasted broccoli. So there's another plant-based meal. If we like, I don't know, some of them are hard. I'm trying to think of things because now I eat them, but looking back, okay, I love Chinese food.
Yeah.
You could get fried rice, vegetable fried rice, or get fried rice with some stir-fried vegetables. You could get, I can't remember what all I used to get, but I mean, if you go to an Asian restaurant, it's so easy to get teriyaki vegetables. It's delicious with fried rice. There you go, another plant-based meal. Even like I like vegan sushi.
Yeah. It's
Um,
good.
and so if you like sushi, you can get vegan sushi. So I'm taking over, so I'll let you share some of your tips to get started.
Oh, well, Jennifer, you're talking about some of the some of the best places like restaurants to get plant-based meals is, of course, you're saying Asian.
Mhm.
Mexican places, you can find some vegetarian options if you tell them to hold the cheese and sour cream usually.
Yes.
Another good cuisine is Indian food. Oh, you can get
Oh, yeah.
a lot of plant-based Indian dishes, and they are so delicious. The way they use spices, Indian food. Well, if you say you want to go to Subway, if you're just transitioning, you can go to Subway. I mean, I don't recommend it, but to transition, you can get
Mhm.
a vegetable sub with vinegar for the dressing.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah. Another one
it-
that's not healthy is Taco Bell. So
yeah,
I'm not saying Taco Bell's healthy, but that is my daughter's favorite. And she will even get black bean tacos. I mean, I don't know
yeah,
if everybody knows you can do that, but you
yeah,
can tell them instead of meat, I want black beans. And so she'll get black bean tacos or black bean burrito, or just refried beans in the taco. And so it can be messy, but you just tell them no cheese. And it's actually delicious without cheese. And one trick I use for Mexican food is avocado or
yeah,
guacamole. Yeah,
yeah.
and so you don't even miss the cheese. You still get that creamy
Oh yeah,
texture, the smooth and creamy fat. Like I'll even make quesadillas, which doesn't make sense. Quesadilla means cheese, but I'll make quesadillas with black beans and avocado. When you cook it, you still have the creamy and the beans. So
it's delicious. And
yes,
you were talking about Taco Bell. If you're transitioning, Taco Bell is very they have a lot of things you can veganize there. They have a whole menu. You can if you know look it up on Google vegan options at Taco Bell. You would be
yeah.
shocked how many things that you can make vegan there.
Yes, which is another thing. So let's talk about some other tools. If you're going out to eat, like
Mhm.
I never go out to eat. I live in the middle of nowhere, and so I cook
Yeah,
all of my foods. And well, number one, then I know what's in there. But for people who are transitioning, if you're traveling or you work in the city, like my husband works in Atlanta a lot, and so he has to find places to eat. If you
yeah,
just Google Atlanta vegan restaurant. You'll get a bunch of them, but you can also use some different apps. So there's like Happy Cow. You can put
yeah.
in
Great one.
Happy Cow Atlanta, and it will tell you all the different places that you can find options. And then if you just go to that restaurant, so let's say I'm going out to eat. Like I have a family member who loves Cracker Barrel, and so I'll go, oh gosh, what in the world can I eat at Cracker Barrel? But if you just Google, for me, I have to have gluten free, but I'll put in gluten free vegan Cracker Barrel, and they
Yeah,
even have they have a gluten free menu, they have a vegan menu, and I can just cross reference there, and it's so easy to put something together. But if you're not even at that point yet, then just look at the menu. You do have to be careful because like green beans are cooked in ham,
yeah.
things like that. And so there's some things that you don't think about unless you grew up eating country food, which I did. So I know there's fat back in those things.
Yes. Cracker Barrel is definitely that way, but
Yes. And
if you but you go
yeah,
ahead.
people don't know things like McDonald's French fries are cooked. They're like coated in beef
Beef,
something. I can't
beef
remember.
fat, I think.
Beef fat, yes. And so people think, oh, I can have French fries, which is another thing. I'm getting totally off topic again. Um, you can eat no animal products and not be eating healthy.
Oh yes.
So, like, I could go to like McDonald's. I don't even think they have salads anymore at McDonald's. Anyway, I could get French fries and a Coke and say that I'm eating vegan, and that's not healthy, and so
Well, that's
yeah,
why I
so
like to use whole food plant-based, because some versions of vegan diets are horrible. So I know vegans that live on Oreo cookies
yes,
and vegan donuts and vegan pizza, and just vegan
yes,
junk food. That's worse
right,
for you than eating a diet with a little bit of meat and salad. You know what I mean?
right, right, yeah, if
So
you're eating a grass-fed organic,
yeah,
grass finished beef on with some steamed vegetables, that's definitely going to be healthier than eating some of these other foods. And I didn't think about this. We're on a podcast, we're using names, and so hopefully it's okay that we're using these restaurant names
oh
in our podcast. But I want to point out too, we're not calling these healthy. So we're talking about natural healing and plants for natural healing. This is just for if you're transitioning and you're trying to figure out how to eat healthier and you're going from standard American diet to this. Now, if you
yeah,
are very sick, you have a chronic illness, you have an autoimmune disease, you have cancer, you already have heart disease, then this isn't right for you. And so you
yeah,
actually need to go even deeper. And it's going to be hard, but if you really want to fight this, then it's worth it. If you don't
it
want to
is.
keep living like you're in pain, or you have no energy, or you can't get out of bed, or you have another chemo treatment or radiation or something that you're getting ready to face, or you're going to have your gallbladder removed or something, now is when you need to really take the leap. And it's not that hard. It sounds hard because it's a complete life change here, but there are so many tools to help you. You just go to Pinterest and put in, foods that you like. So when you are sick, you may be looking for comfort foods, but you can find ways to make it where it's not going to be too difficult. And sometimes you'll pull up a recipe and it may even look like it has 100 ingredients, but if you look at it, it might have thyme, ginger, garlic, oregano. So it looks long, but those are just herbs and spices that you have in your cabinet. So before you toss out a recipe because it looks too hard, really look at those ingredients. You know what? I have all those already on hand. It might not be as difficult as I think. Or Google one pot plant based or one pot vegan, blah blah blah, whatever it is that you want. It's much easier than you think.
Yeah, she's correct. Transitional is if you're just some person that you're not sick, but you want to, maybe lose a little weight, get a little healthier, then you have time to transition. But like Jeffrey's saying, if you're already very ill, you need to jump in with both feet.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. And there are plenty of tools out there to help with
yeah,
that as well. And both
uh,
of us work with we haven't even talked about what we do. Both of us work with people one on one. I know I even have a program that helps people. I have a seasonal reset every
mhm.
season. So I don't know when you're listening to this podcast, but you can always check the links in our bio. We have things in place. So for my 5-day reset, um, you don't have to go completely whole food plant based. It's for omnivores, and so it helps. If you're just transitioning from standard American diet and want to eat cleaner, it's more like an elimination diet. There's no sugar, there's no um, processed foods, and we eliminate alcohol and caffeine, which caffeine we haven't talked about either, can go either way. But there's different things like that. So if you are looking for something like that to help you with your transition, then I know that's available. But Daniel and I both work with people one on one as well. So I don't know if you want to say more about what you do.
Yeah, I think we both teach plant-based healing, and I have I always like to combine herbs with plant-based diets. Depending on what problem you're coming to me with, we can tailor a program for you with herbal cleansing and specific herbs for whatever you're going through. But also, I think that the biggest part about what we do, from what I have found, is that people need somebody to keep them on track,
Yeah,
because
hold
this
them accountable.
when you transition to this way of eating, you'll be surprised about how your life changes in a lot of different ways you'll never think about.
Mhm.
You may have friends now, and you may have friends that start to not hang out with you as much.
Right.
But if
Right.
you're sick, but if you're really ill and you have a friend that does that, maybe they weren't really your friend in the first place. You have to think about that.
Right. Yeah. You
And
tell people I have to eat this way.
yeah,
Yeah. It's important for me for my health. If they're friends, then they should
they'll
do it for you.
understand. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. And hopefully they support you. One thing we haven't talked about, I don't know how we're doing on time, but is when it comes to food, is we use food to celebrate, for get-togethers, birthday party at work, or go out to eat, and we give ourselves these treats which aren't, I mean, they might taste good on your taste buds, but they're not good for your body. And when you think about that, if you know someone who is an alcoholic and we're going out, do you tell them, oh, just have this one glass of wine or this one beer? You don't do it. But if it's somebody is, they need to, like for me, I have to have gluten free, and someone says, oh, you can just have this cake this one time. Well, no, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. And so for some reason people still pressure you, to eat
Yes.
this. And so it can even be, if it's just for your health, I'm not going to eat this steak because I'm trying to prevent this or recover for something or heal it. Oh, but this is a special occasion. You should have this. And it's like, well, and so for some reason in our society, it's okay to pressure people to eat something that's not in their best interest, and I don't understand that.
I don't either. I think one way around it, this may work for some people. Say, well, my doctor said I have to eat this way,
Well, that's true.
and a
That's
lot of
true.
times they'll shut people up. I've
Right.
noticed.
Right.
So
Yeah. Oh, and you can always throw, say you're allergic to it or something.
yeah.
People are afraid of allergies. Yes, you might not be telling the truth, but sometimes I don't know why it's so hard.
I don't
If you're
either.
trying to eat specific foods, want to eat healthy or whatever. And something else that we haven't talked about today is sometimes you do lose some friends, and sometimes you get less invites. People don't want to invite you over or go out to eat with you because there's not going to be something for you to eat. They don't have your food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, can you eat here, or what can you eat? If we go here, what can you eat? And it's, you don't want the whole night to be centered around what you can eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can I can find something anywhere. Maybe it is just a bowl of iceberg lettuce, but if I know I'm going somewhere where there's going to be food I can't eat, then I'm going to eat before I go, and then just eat something small when we're out.
But it gets easier the longer you do this. People start to
Yes.
know you, the way you eat, and sometimes they will accommodate you, or you bring your own food. But just
Yes.
if you're really ill and your soul tells you you really need to do this, there's going to be some trials, but they will work themselves out. And you'll probably
Yes.
make new friends.
So that's what I
You'll make
say.
new friends.
Yes,
You
like
know?
us.
Yeah, like
Yes.
I met Jennifer at the School of Natural Healing,
Yes.
and
And
our
we were looking for
pastor,
gluten-free
yeah,
bread.
yes, yes. And it sounds like me and Jennifer, our paths were similar as far as we were into the gym culture, eating a lot of meat. And then we learned, well, this isn't the right way to go. And now we're reformed meat eaters.
Yes.
And look, we're launching this podcast to help others.
Right. Yes. Which we didn't talk about that. Like I was a major meat eater. I mean, I was a major meat eater before meat. I was all about the meat.
Yep.
Hamburgers and hot dogs for dinner. Yes,
Uh-huh.
both. I wanted a hamburger and a hot dog. I was telling you, when my husband and I were dating, it was like he would order pasta and I'd order ribs. It was like
It's usually the opposite.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I need the ribs or barbecue chicken, whatever. I was a big meter. Burnt hot dogs. I wanted the hamburger and the hot dog, and I wanted the hot dog burnt. And so
Oh
now I'm
boy.
like, oh my gosh. So I've got, yes. So I have 40 years of
Carcinogen.
cleansing. Yes, to do. Yes, yes. And so for me, it's very important to eat this way because I know I ate a lot of the wrong foods before, a lot of processed foods, the lean cuisines I talked about before. Um, yes. And so I have a lot of cleansing to do, and I want to live a long time and be active and healthy for many, many more years. My grandma's over 100, still
Wow.
walks. I took her out to lunch Saturday. I mean, I took my grandma out to lunch.
Wow.
She's over 100 years old. I want to be like that. And so
Yes.
I want to eat and clean everything out. So when she was young, she was exposed to her own little toxins, coal in the air and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But she didn't grow up on Coke and
Oh no.
stuff like that,
No, no.
yeah,
That
Coca-Colas
stuff.
and squeezed cheese,
Yeah. Oh
lots of
God.
Ritz crackers. I
Oh Lord.
have a lot of cleansing to do.
Yeah. Well, it seems like even the processed food today is worse than the processed food from the past.
Right.
I mean, if you look at a box of little Debbie cakes, it looks
Mhm.
like a chemistry experiment, you know?
Yes. Yeah. Well, and even the linguine, someone
Yeah.
told me to look at the label that I was eating too much sodium. And
Oh
so
yeah.
I was like, oh, and so I went to look at the sodium and then I saw the ingredients and it's like, oh my gosh. I mean, half the words I couldn't even read.
Yeah.
And the list was so long. And I just want people to know that this was 10 years after I got my master's and I had studied nutrition. And
Oh
here I
yeah.
am eating this, thinking I'm eating something healthy. We all nobody's perfect.
No,
We
no.
all are on our own journey and we all are learning at different stages in our life. You can learn something today. You could hear me saying something today that resonates for you, but you may have missed something I said earlier today. But if you listen to this podcast or something else, I may say the same information again. And then you hear it and you're like, wait a minute, your body just isn't ready to receive it all. We're only hearing what our body is ready to receive, which this may sound really woo woo, but I know when I go back and reread or go back over a study, or reread a book, I'm always reading different books on healing and nutrition. Then I may read something for the third time or listen to a lecture for the third time, and I hear something like I've never heard it before. And I'm sure that that's happened to you too. And so we all are, even though it's something I studied, it's just never dawned on me to look at that. I wasn't ready to see it at the time. And so can I feel, do I beat myself up about it because, oh my gosh, I was doing this whole time? No, you didn't know what you didn't know, and now you know, so now you do better.
Exactly. There comes a time for everything.
Yeah.
People may be listening today and like, I can never do that. But in 6 months, they might think, you know what? I think I'm gonna
Yeah.
give it a try
Yeah.
because
Yeah. I
I
think
don't
I
know.
remember them telling me some tips on how I could eat better. And then you go back and listen. Oh, that's actually not that hard. Yeah.
But the most important thing is do not judge yourself for where you're at right now. Don't judge yourself. Don't berate yourself for not being eating good enough. Because if you
Right.
do that,
Right.
you may never eat clean because, you know,
Right.
it's a
Right.
good, it's for me, and I don't know for Jennifer, it was a slow transition with I used to live on hummus and guacamole for like a month because I didn't know what else to eat.
We
You know,
didn't even talk about those. Yes. Nice
yeah,
creamy substitutes for cheese. Yes.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
But it is a transition. It is a process, but it will be worth it if you want to maximize your health and longevity. Because that's the one reason that I do it. I want to be healthy. I don't want to get sick.
Mm-mm.
I mean, there's no guarantees in life, but living this way puts the odds in your favor
Right.
of staying healthy for longer, you know? So
Right. And not only living longer, but being able to be active and
exactly.
have your
Man,
thinking
yeah,
capabilities too. Yeah.
yes,
Mhm.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want
My
to be one of the
grandma
old people. Go
my
ahead.
grandma reads. She reads and reads and reads. And
Wow.
she doesn't even wear glasses. She has hearing
Oh my
aids. But
God.
it's like, what?
That's amazing.
Yeah. She does have some glasses that she'll bring, but like when we went out, she forgot to bring her glasses for the menu. And it was like, she was, oh, I forgot my glasses, but she could still read. And she said, isn't it amazing? And I was like, yes, you are amazing.
Well, see, that's a good goal to shoot for.
Yes. And she battled, I mean, she had an ovary removed when she was 20, ended up having 5 children. She had breast cancer. She had pulmonary hypertension. Most people don't even live a year and a half with pulmonary hypertension. That was when she was 80. She's over 100. So,
Wow.
yes. So don't let your diagnosis um, tell you how you're going to live either.
Well, that could be another podcast on
Yes,
diagnosis
it could.
and labeling people, how what that does for your
Yes.
mind. And yeah,
Yes. Yes. You are not your diagnosis.
yeah.
Yes. And hopefully we can help you get on track. Yes. All right. So we need to go today. I hope this helps you on your plant-based journey. I can't remember what we talked about. Oh, Well, I don't know. We were thinking about talking about the healthcare system next time. I don't know. Maybe we should, maybe we should talk about diagnoses and things like that.
I think
Um,
so, yeah. I mean, in
yeah.
a
So
non-combative way.
let us know in the show notes if this is helping you and what else you would like to hear about too. How can we help you on your health journey? So have a wonderful week and we will be back with you soon.